Avon now moving to e-learning after being among the first to reopen in our area. I'm Stephanie Wade, hearing parents' reaction tonight.
In addition to taking care of your health, also try and avoid risky behaviors.
Doctors say the global crisis surrounding COVID-19 is pushing people to react impulsively. Just ahead, we've got numbers to back up this claim and a word of advice from experts.
It could be a very uneventful fall on the gridiron in college football. The big announcement expected from the Big Ten.
This is RTV6 News at 5, working for you.
Right now at 5, take a look at the radar. As you can see, more storms are headed our way at this hour after we started the day with heavy rain, loud rumbles of thunder and lightning.
And those storms we're watching right now, we have the potential to bring some very damaging winds. This is damage in Iowa from that same system earlier today. Just look at those silos. The National Weather Service in Indianapolis tweeted that photo saying, look what 90 to 100 mile per hour winds can do. So let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory. Kevin, where is that storm right now? You were saying it's going to be passing through just soon.
So I think between next half hour, it will enter western Indiana and not be over until around midnight. We'll kind of set the stage here and the tone for our coverage. All of this yellow represents a thunderstorm watch. It is likely we'll have severe storms this evening with damaging wind the primary threat. Some days we have to wait for the thunderstorms to develop. Other days we inherit a line of storms. We're clearly going to inherit this line of storms from Springfield to Champaign, arcing up to Chicago. And you can see from Champaign all the way to Chicago, there are thunderstorm warnings all along this line of storms. Wind gusts to 70 miles per hour possible with those storms as they blast to the east and to the southeast. We're dry in central Indiana for now, but again, that will be changing here in the next half hour to 45 minutes. 86 the temperature. As you look to the northwest, damaging wind is by far the main threat. 3 things you can do to prepare for this. 1, put away patio furniture, the grill, charge your cell phone, and we'll also talk about downloading the Storm Shield app because it is a weather radio for your phone. You'll get warnings even if the power goes out. Mark?
Kevin, thank you. No football this fall. That is the announcement expected soon from the Big Ten Conference. Multiple media outlets are reporting that a Sunday night call among the 14 Big Ten schools came to a decision to call off the upcoming season. Dan Patrick reported on his radio show a 12-2 vote with only Nebraska and Iowa voting to play. Just last week, the Big Ten put out a revised conference-only 10-game schedule for 2020. There has been no official comment from the Big Ten office, though. IU and Purdue both continued practices today. There is talk about moving college football to the spring. That's happening in other conferences and divisions. Ball State's season ended Friday when the MAC canceled fall sports.
The first school district to reopen in our area is now taking a step back, at least for the high school. Avon High School is transitioning to e-learning starting tomorrow. RTV6's Stephanie Wade has been staying on top of this ever-changing story for us. She's reporting in Avon tonight.
Well, today is the last day students will be here in school for in-person classes for the rest of the week. Students at Avon High School are now switching to a hybrid of e-learning for the remainder of the month.
I think Avon schools did as much as possible to try to bring a normal experience back to the kids.
Yanina's daughter is a freshman at Avon High School. She was excited to get back and begin high school in person. But now that's changing. As of Monday, 9 people have tested positive for COVID-19 within the district. 5 cases at the high school, 1 at Pine Tree Elementary, 1 at Hickory Elementary, 1 at Avon Intermediate School West, and 1 at East. Avon Community Schools denied our interview request today, nor would they confirm how many students and staff had to quarantine as a result of these 9 positive cases. Yanina works during the day and says she prefers to have her kids in school, but understands why they needed to pull back.
I went ahead and got all my kids tested because, there's 6 of us in the house, and if that was the case, I needed to make sure, for work. So we all did, and we all came back negative, so we're good. But it was a little nerve-wracking because, my kids had to stay at home. My husband's working from home, luckily.
The district plans to move to a hybrid schedule next week, beginning August 17th, then eventually return to in-person classes August 31st. Stephanie Wade, RTV6.
And school administrators say they are reviewing and finalizing options for a hybrid approach at Avon High School that will allow for fewer students in the school using both in-person and online instruction. At this time, no other adjustments are being made at any other Avon school.
After 4 straight days of new coronavirus cases topping 1,000, the number dropped quite a bit today, but that could be because it was the weekend. The state reported 673 new cases today, 375 less than the number reported yesterday. Today's numbers were all recorded yesterday. The overall number is now closing in on 75,000. The overall positivity rate remains at 8.8%. 3 more Hoosiers have died from COVID-19. Those deaths occurred between Friday and yesterday. That brings the statewide total to 2,838. It is also worth noting here that the availability of ventilators and ICU beds has increased since we were last with you on Friday. More than 38% of the ICU beds in hospitals around the state are available. That's up from nearly 33% on Friday. 82.5% of ventilators are available, up from 81%. Of the ventilators and ICU beds in use, the majority are being used by non-COVID-19 patients. IU Health says that people are taking more risks, winding up in emergency rooms at an alarming rate. Surgeons think the spike is connected to the pandemic. RTV6's Troy Washington is working for you to explain the impact the trauma is having on patients both mentally and physically.
COVID-19 appears to be keeping people on edge, but as the pandemic continues, a new trend seems to be emerging.
We had a record June with over 400 trauma which is the most we've had in 5 years.
Trauma means crash injuries, serious falls, or traumatic brain injuries stemming from serious accidents. They say numbers started to spike this summer, and the only correlation they can draw is that people are desperate to get out and move around at all costs.
That's significant because patients are coming in severely injured. And I think some of that is people are out and about and being outside much more. And so a lot of my recommendations are to, in addition to taking care of your health, also try and avoid risky behaviors.
This doctor is pointing out the physical trauma, but RTV6 talked with Therapeutic Rose owner Darian Rose to get more insight on the underlying issue at hand, the mental trauma of just trying to survive a pandemic.
When you take away a privilege of like freedom of going out and doing things, and you therefore have to replace it. So people are replacing it by doing all these crazy things.
He says the actions are just a way to cope.
It's an unseen enemy. And because we can't see it, we don't know how to fight it. And it's the same thing that goes on with trauma, PTSD. I'm not surprised to see a spike in it at all.
He says everyone has their vices and people typically have an outlet, but with all the restrictions, he believes people are being pushed to react impulsively.
Wear your seatbelts when you're driving, wear your bike helmets when you're riding bikes, right? Wear your helmets, motorcycles.
This doctor and this therapist tell us reducing the risky behavior during uncertain times is the best move for everyone. Working for you, Troy Washington, RTV6.
Now, according to Rose, the impact of the global crisis can trigger impulsivity in anyone, and he suggests trying to find positive channels for the energy, like picking up a new hobby during this time.
Tonight, Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hogsett will deliver his State of the City address. His remarks will help kick off the 2021 budget season. He will provide an overview of the city's efforts to stop the spread of COVID-19 and the city's recovery efforts, as well as new and continued investments in criminal justice reform, public safety, and infrastructure. Hogsett's address will be virtual and is scheduled for just after 7 o'clock. You can watch it live at theindychannel.com and on the RTV6 app. And a prominent voice on gun control in Indiana will be among the speakers at the Democratic National Convention. That starts a week from today. Today, the Democratic National Committee announced that Deandra Dykes from Indianapolis is among those speaking at next week's convention, which will be mostly virtual. You may recall that Dykes' son, Dre Knox, was shot in the head and permanently disabled while attending a friend's birthday party back in 2014 on the city's west side. Since the shooting, Dykes created the group Purpose for My Pain to offer support to other victims of gun violence and their families. Dykes earned a Jefferson Award from RTV6 for her work back in 2018.
Tonight, businesses in Chicago are trying to start the recovery process after a night of looting, lawlessness, and property damage in the downtown shopping district, including the upscale Magnificent Mile. Just take a look at these pictures we're showing you. The city's police superintendent says this stemmed from the shooting of a man who police say fired at them. He is expected to survive. Superintendent David Brown said misinformation and social media posts encouraged looting downtown. And you see the result here. The looting began last night and continued into the early morning hours. More than 100 people were arrested and 13 officers were injured.
This was not an organized protest. Rather, this was an incident of pure criminality. This was an act of violence against our police officers and against our city.
400 officers were dispatched to Chicago's downtown area last night. A heavy police presence is expected in the downtown area until further notice. And in Baltimore, a natural gas explosion this morning leveled 3 row houses and killed a woman and critically injured 4 others. At last report, rescuers were trying to reach at least one more survivor in the wreckage. A 4th row house was ripped open by the blast. Natural gas was shut off around the immediate vicinity. The cause of the explosion wasn't immediately clear, but leaky pipes are a growing problem in Baltimore. In fact, Baltimore Gas and Electric has estimated that replacing aging pipes would cost nearly $1 billion and take 2 decades.
There's a greater need than people would even imagine for this.
Food insecurity continues for many families in Marion County. How one organization is stepping up to help. Are your kids looking forward to the new Mulan movie to be released soon? It may not be as budget friendly or as easy to watch that you might be expecting. Kevin.
Thunderstorm warnings about to expand into our viewing area from the northwest. Here's Lafayette. You get to Fowler, up to Rensselaer, then down to, say, Covington, Petersburg, next half hour to 45 minutes. Strong storms arrive. We'll go through it all coming up.
Welcome back. Tonight, our Hiring Hoosiers initiative is bringing you news of 1,000 jobs that need to be filled in Johnson County. FedEx Ground is hiring 1,000 package handlers to staff a new automated station opening in Greenwood this fall. The state-of-the-art 800,000 square foot sorting facility is anticipated to meet the needs of the holiday season. You have to be 18 to apply. To get more info, look for this story at hiringhoosiers.com.
A local organization is working to address food insecurity in the community, and it'll soon be ramping up its efforts thanks to the United Way Central Indiana COVID Economic Relief Fund. ProAct received $35,000 from that fund, and the money is being used to build a mobile food pantry. RTV6 teamed up with United Way to encourage donations to the fund, and our Megan Sanctorum shows us how your donations are being put to good use.
Inside Shepherd Community Center, you'll find volunteers and a whole lot of food. Food that's being packaged up and will soon go to a family in need.
The need is immense. We have served over 5,000 families since March.
Today, ProAct teamed up with the Shepherd Community Center to package 400 boxes of meals. Those meals will be distributed here this week, and some will be home delivered.
Because a lot of families can't leave their homes, or they don't have transportation to come to get the resources that they need.
And soon, they'll be able to deliver food to even more people throughout Marion County. ProAct plans to use their C-Surf funding to renovate a 28-seat passenger bus.
This bus will be transformed into a mobile food pantry and used to help meet the growing need in the community.
There's a greater need than people would even imagine for this.
Paul Washington says he knows firsthand how important this service is.
Well, we actually received a couple packages because we kind of got caught in that pocket of need.
He says he's benefited from the work of organizations like ProAct and Shepherd Community Center. So now he volunteers here to give back.
You find a way to live for something that's bigger than you, and you realize through interactions you have a real impact on people's lives, and they're able now to impact other people's lives in more positive ways too.
Something ProAct founder Darren Slack says happens frequently, and at the end of the day, they're providing more than just a meal.
When someone stands in the gap for you, it encourages you to do the same for someone else. And so that's what we've seen. We've seen people step up and be volunteers if they get back on their feet. And it's just a wonderful thing to see this come full circle for a lot of families.
Working for you, Megan Sanctorum, RTV6.
ProAct leaders say they'll also partner with other local organizations and food pantries, and the bus will help them with deliveries as well. We have much more information about ProAct and their services on our website at theindychannel.com.
Kevin Gregory joins us now in studio with a look at our forecast. We are tracking some storms that are coming into the area.
Very soon, yes, into northwest portions of the viewing area. Again, if you're just joining us, didn't catch the top of the newscast, thunderstorm watch for most of the RTV6 viewing area. Bloomington, Greensburg to about Richmond northwest. That until midnight as the storm's about ready to push into northwest Indiana. So the leading edge, the northern part of the line, already into portions of the state as this kind of curves to the southwest. It'll take a little bit longer, but I would say within a half hour, those of you in Benton County, Fowler will see the storms arrive, and we'll end up with some thunderstorm warnings that probably come through the western counties of our viewing area, Warren, Fountain, Vermilion, Park counties. We'll see how that is as these drop to the south and east. Looking a little different as we look to the west, a little more menacing as the clouds and thunderstorms build in the afternoon heat. Show you some temperatures that made it into the 90s today. Last hour was 93 in Terre Haute. Again, don't forget the Storm Shield app. It is free for your smartphone. If you lose power, you don't lose contact with the warnings. This will send warnings to your location, and it is free in Storm Shield app. It is still 93 in Terre Haute, 92 in Sullivan for now. Look what happens if you just follow the change in color. There's where your thunderstorms are, as temperatures will drop back into the 70s and 60s with the thunderstorms. Incredibly humid out there. All of the energy is there for these thunderstorms. 7 o'clock tonight to the south and east. By 9, Bloomington, Greensburg, Richmond. It's a fairly fast-moving system. I would say in any one spot, you'll probably have a half hour of good storms. Then they lessen, and you'll probably see the strongest wind before you actually get the heavy rainfall. You notice some of the thunderstorms kind of sit in the southwest portion of the area as we go through the overnight. And one common theme in the 7-day forecast will be this daily chance for showers and thunderstorms. Severe threat seems very low, not expecting severe storms the next few days. Temperatures during the day tomorrow don't take off as quickly. We'll be in the 70s, 40% chance for thunderstorms just about any time, but especially during the afternoon hours. 7-day forecast. Again, thunderstorms continue to advance across central Indiana for the next 3 to 4 hours. Wednesday through the weekend, daily chance of thunderstorms, lows in the 60s, highs in the mid-80s. A model of consistency, and it's humid through that stretch as well. Mark?
All right, Kevin, thank you. Again, a good idea to download the Storm Shield app as this storm approaches. Disney's live-action Mulan remake is finally coming out next month, but just not in theaters. But it might still cost you just as much to see it. Consumer reporter John Matarese takes a look at what this could mean for the future of movies so you don't waste your money.
As COVID keeps moviegoers out of theaters, Disney's decided it's waited long enough and will release its Mulan movie streaming. But it won't be cheap, and that sets a precedent for future releases. After months of delays, Disney's new live-action Mulan is coming to streaming TV on September 4th. But some Disney fans were stunned to learn it'll cost $30 to unlock the movie, on top of Disney Plus's $7 monthly fee. This is a sharp departure from the Netflix model, where once you join, everything is free, even original new content. Even Hamilton was free to Disney Plus members. But Disney could lose $100 million offering Mulan free to subscribers, so it's testing the waters with a new pay-to-view model. And at $30, it's still cheaper than taking the whole family to the theater. But from the Doesn't That Stink file, the chance other streaming services start following Disney's lead and charging additional fees for new content. What if you have to pay $30 for the next Netflix series or $20 for a new Hulu movie? Your monthly streaming bill will quickly get a lot higher, and that stinks. If the Mulan release is a success, expect more streaming releases in the months to come. You decide if it's a case of don't waste your money. I'm John Matarese for RTV6.
Well, have you been using your time at home to dream about your future, hone your skills, possibly in the music industry? Now's your chance to start a journey to become the next American Idol. Audition information straight ahead.
Do you think you have what it takes to be the next American Idol? Now's your chance to get the ball rolling on that. Now, Idol Across America virtual auditions kicked off today. They will take place in every state. Hoosier hopefuls will get to virtually audition in front of an American Idol producer on Friday, August 28th. You must be 15 to 28 years old to audition. So, how will this work?
So, like, what happens when somebody shows up? Well, they come and they get in a line. So we have a virtual line, but it's still sort of the same process. It's just, virtually. Basically, once you get your link, just come on over and wait outside the room. We'll bring you inside the room at a certain point, and we'll just get the whole process started.
Singers and musicians will then perform in front of a small group of producers in a Zoom room for a chance to appear on American Idol here on RTV6 sometime in the spring. You can reserve your audition slot at americanidol.com/auditions. Good luck to everyone that's going to be trying out. Still ahead on the news at 5:30, safely back to school is not only in the classroom, what is being done around the state to help make the trip there and back a safe journey.